I have hiked thousands of miles of long trails at this point, therefore I've made all the mistakes for you. If you want your first trip to go smoother than mine did, do not do these 10 things. 10 beginner backpacking mistakes to avoid. These are mistakes that I've either made myself when I first started backpacking or I've seen other people make. Don't do these, let's just jump right into it. Number 1, bringing too much food. Food is heavy, and so you don't want to bring too much of it, and I think people make this mistake because of 2 reasons. 1, they're actually not, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Aware of how much food they eat on a daily basis, because you're just not even thinking about it, you're just jumping in the fridge and whatever. And or you're not used to eating this type of food, like packaged food, or you think you're gonna be way more hungry than you are because you're doing all this physical activity, or you're scared. That's probably the number 1 reason. You're scared, fearful of running out of food. So it's hard to get that just right on your first backpacking trip, but be aware that that is something people typically do, is carry too much food, which is too heavy and is going to make your trip less fun. Number 2, not using trekking poles. I know when I first started hiking, I was like really judgy about people using poles. I'm like, we're literally just walking. Like, why do we need sticks to help us do that? But now, having had a lot of experience, I can confidently say trekking poles are so useful and efficient for so many reasons. Especially when you're carrying more weight, when you're going uphill, it makes you a lot faster. It disperses the, I don't know, activity level throughout your whole body, so it's not just on your legs. When you're going downhill, it saves your knees and your joints from the impact on the way down. When you're crossing like rivers, it helps you balance for like rock hopping. It doubles as a weapon if you happened upon a predator. A lot of the tents use trekking poles to set it up, so then you're saving weight on your back by not carrying tent poles. What else? I feel like there's even more than that, but those are some of the first ones that jump into my head. Just use trekking poles, you won't be sorry. Number 3, not packing correctly. There's not a right or wrong way to pack. Everybody can do what they want, but I do think when you first start, you're sort of like trying to pack, I don't know, the way it fits the best or is the most organized, and you're not necessarily thinking about like the order in which you might need to use your items that you're packed. So for example, on the Appalachian Trail, it's very rainy. I think it's smart to always have your tent on the top of your pack. That way, if it's raining and you get to camp, you can open up your pack and boom, your tent is the first thing. You can set that up without having to dig out all your other stuff and everything's getting wet while you're setting up your tent. It's always good to have a rain jacket on the outside, same thing, so other things don't get wet while you're in the process of trying to get out your rain jacket. I like to keep my daily snacks and food on the outside of my pack so I don't have to dig in there every time. So you're gonna find your system that works for you, but be mindful when you're packing as far as when you're gonna need certain things and how accessible those things are. Number 4, not layering correctly. Again, not necessarily a right and wrong way to do it, but when you're first starting out backpacking, I think things you don't think about is having a layering system where you can use certain individual things at different times and or layer them together for added warmth or whatever. So like when you're skiing, you want a jacket that's warm and also waterproof and all these other things all in one. But when you're hiking, that's really limiting. You can only use it in one scenario. So you want to separate like a puffy and a rain jacket. You can wear one or the other. If it's hot and rainy, you can wear a rain jacket. If it's cool and not rainy, you can wear your puffy, or if it's cool and rainy, you can wear them together. Or like, I like pants that go over my shorts that slide over my shoes. That way I can start with my shorts and my pants on in the morning when it's cold, and then as it gets hot, I can just whip my pants off and already be in my shorts. So thinking about all these separate layers that can all be worn together for maximum warmth and dryness, or individually for other scenarios. Number 5, buying cheap gear. So it is reasonable that if you're just getting into backpacking and you're not really sure how into it you are, or if you're gonna love it, that you would buy more affordable gear to get out there and try it out. But What happens a lot of times is people buy like cheaper, affordable gear that's usually on the heavier side or not as durable. And then as they get more into this and decide that they need better quality gear, then they're now rebuying all of those things. And so not only are you buying the expensive things, but you already bought the cheap version as well. So now you're spending even more money that was unnecessary. So I'm not saying you have to start off in the beginning buying everything super high quality, super expensive, but maybe being mindful when you start purchasing your first kit that like things like your pack, your big three, your pack, your shelter, your sleeping bag, if you really see yourself getting into this, it might be worth just investing in good gear from the jump. Number 6, bringing too much shit. I mean, I feel like that is the classic #1 mistake that everybody makes in the beginning, is just bringing more stuff than what you actually need. And I understand it's hard to know exactly what you're gonna need when you haven't really done it before, but if you're going out for 3 days, like, do you need 18 Band-Aids? Probably not. Like, I feel like the first aid kit is really where people overpack because you're thinking about every possible scenario that could ever happen, and you want to be prepared for everything, which is good. I'm not saying don't bring first aid stuff, but like just try to minimize it to like what you would actually use. Like, are you bringing like a tourniquet? Do you even know how to use that? Like a full first aid kit with all these things in it that you don't even know what stuff is? Like, everything that you're bringing should really truly have a purpose. And if you can have like multi-purpose items, that's even better. Like, I feel like the classic example of that is a buff. You can use a buff to cover your face, to keep your face warm, and you could also use it as like a dish towel or to wipe off your tent if it's wet before you put it away. I can't think of any other multi-purpose items off the top of my head, but the more you can whittle your stuff down to the bare bones and have multi-purpose things, again, the less weight you're carrying and the better experience you're gonna have. Planning too many miles. So again, this is something that's hard to know if you're a beginner what mileage is appropriate for you, but I would say I assume most people start off day hiking. Just know that when you're backpacking and you have a lot more weight on your back, you might not be able to do as many miles as comfortably. So I think it's better to start with like lower miles and giving yourself more time to accomplish those miles in a fun way, rather than planning too many miles and having a miserable time or not making it to your destination and now what. So just realistic expectations for mileage. Number 8, too small of shoes. This one I got to experience with a friend on the PCT this year. I think what people don't realize getting into hiking and backpacking is whatever shoe size is comfortable for you in your daily life, at home, working, whatever, you probably want to go at least a half a size, if not a full size bigger if backpacking, because it's just a lot more on your feet. You've got all that weight on your back. You do not want the front of your toe like rubbing up against your shoe all day. You're just gonna get blisters the tighter your shoes are. I think it's better to have them slightly too loose than too tight. And then especially if you jump into through hiking, like they say your foot size actually grows a half a size or a full size over the course of a through hike, because you're just so much impact on your feet almost like flatten out or something. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just saying go bigger with your shoes to avoid blisters. Number 9, carrying too much water. Most people coming from day hiking are used to just packing as much water as they're gonna need for the day, for their day hike, and just carrying all of that weight, compared to people that are backpacking or through hiking who are usually carrying like a water filter and then finding water sources, filtering, and carrying smaller amounts of water throughout the day. So that's something that when you're transitioning into backpacking, like you definitely do not want to be carrying water for 3 days. Like, that water I think is about 2.5 pounds per liter. You're gonna want, depending on the environment, 2 to 8 liters of water a day, and so that's so heavy. So being able to have a water filter system, so most people use like a Sawyer squeeze, but there's a bunch of different options out there. Having some sort of filter system, and then just carrying like what you need at a time. So learning how to figure out like where your water source options are on the trail that you're on, and gauging how much water you need to get you to that water source. And number 10, the final mistake not to make would be just don't expect everything to go perfectly to plan. It never does. There's always shit that happens. And so whether that's planning like a plan B route, like a trail that you can exit out on if the weather goes bad, or having a paper map and a compass as a backup, which I never do, in case your GPS navigation gets messed up, or just being like prepared that things are bound to happen on trail and you're gonna have to like adapt and improvise. No matter how experienced you are, it's just not realistic that everything is gonna always go perfect. So those were my 10 beginner backpacker mistakes to avoid. I hope that was helpful. If you have other ones that you think would go on this list, put them in the comments below. Hope you're having an amazing beginning of 2026. Good luck out there, and I'll see you on the trail.